Hey guys, off the mic Sports Network here. More Cavs thoughts. Teased this in a previous video. So as we know, Game 7 of the NBA Finals, Indiana Pacers lose 103-91. They obviously didn't just lose the game in the championship. They probably lost their star Tyrese Haliburton for maybe all of next season. He tore his. Look, anybody who's even if you're not a medical expert, you saw the Achilles pop. And when you see that, that's never a good thing. My sister, who doesn't even really watch a lot of sports, she spotted that. Like when you can physically see it, that's not good. Okay. We saw it with Jason Tatum. We saw it with Damian Lillard. Achilles is one of those injuries is you kind of, if you see it, you know. So we're assuming that Tyrese Haliburton is probably out for the season. But if you guys remember, early on in this series against Oklahoma City, he strained his calf. If you guys remember, that's a similar injury to what Kevin Durant had when he ultimately tore his Achilles in the NBA Finals 6 years ago against the Raptors. You guys know who else had a strained calf early on in the playoffs and had to miss the second half of a Game 4 and was laboring, and I mean laboring, near the end of it? Everybody was focused on Darius Garland and his toe and how much he was laboring. Donovan Mitchell had a strained calf, and he was laboring around. Donovan Mitchell, after this Tyrese Haliburton injury, tweeted acknowledging how bad and how much of a bitch these strained calves are. So it made me wonder. It made me think to myself, and God forbid, and if you guys want to attack me in the comments for thinking that I'm crazy for saying this, was it actually a good thing that the Cleveland Cavaliers season ended in 5 games against the Indiana Pacers? Because if you think about the way Donovan Mitchell was playing through the course of those 2 rounds and how much he was putting his body on the line, laboring and getting beat up, and like I said, he was having a tough time walking. He was laboring, and you could see that he was not 100%. He was doing everything he could to be out there. One misstep, Donovan Mitchell's out for the next season. So the fact that the Cavs were eliminated, and I know it's all about winning the championship, but also we got to see the bigger picture here. The Cavs, for the most part, outside of Darius Garland, are going to be largely healthy going into next year. Donovan Mitchell, yes, it sucked. That was a heart-wrenching and terrible end to an amazing season for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Incredibly disappointing. One of the most disappointing ends to a season that I can remember. Like, outside of that, that 2009 team and maybe the 2009 and 2010 seasons with LeBron are right up there with this season as well. And this was pretty disappointing because, like I said, they were the second best team in the NBA. They were the best team in the NBA for a large chunk of the season until they sort of fell off near the back half of the season in Oklahoma City. Ultimately ended up being statistically the best team in the NBA. But it was considered for most of the year that Oklahoma City, I think, maybe was just a touch better than the Cavs, even though they split the regular season series. There was a lot of things that were going on there. So, but am I crazy? Am I crazy for thinking that it actually might have been a good thing for the Cavs to lose in that spot? I'm not suggesting that they should have lost on purpose. I'm saying that Donovan Mitchell with the strained calf that claimed basically two star players later on, or I think it might, Jason Tatum was right around the same time when the Cavs were eliminated. But then you obviously see Tyrese Haliburton strains his calf early in the series against the Thunder, and then Game 7. One bad step, he falls completely to the ground, and his Achilles pops. We saw it with Kevin Durant. Literally, the game he comes back in from a strained calf. Game 5, 2019. Strained calf becomes a torn Achilles. It is the precursor to the injury. And basically, from everything that I've gathered and I've seen in terms of your ankle and that calf area is a ticking time bomb with a strained calf. And you are putting yourself at risk to potentially cause significant damage. And there is no more debilitating injury in sports than a torn Achilles, outside of maybe an ACL tear. But a torn Achilles is about as bad of an injury as you can have as a professional athlete. So to think about this, and I was just thinking about this, and I saw Donovan Mitchell tweet about this, as so many in the basketball world were tweeting support for Tyrese Haliburton, you're left wondering to yourself, like, holy shit. Like, if the Cavs had gone further and maybe had pursued on the run, does Donovan Mitchell get more hurt? And at that point, you're like, okay, what's the Cavs' future without Donovan Mitchell? So, did they dodge a bullet? I think it's a completely fair question because you look at this situation and you look at the way that this team could have potentially been structured had Donovan Mitchell potentially been hurt. You look, like I said, it sucks, but you could, thinking back to that series, you guys saw he went to the free throw line for 3 free throws to try and, get that game close against Indiana. He missed all 3 of them. The guy had nothing left. It wasn't even just a gas tank. Like he literally sat out the second half of that blowout against Indiana in game 4. So I think it's a completely fair question to ask is like, man, short-term loss maybe could be a long-term gain here for the Cavs. Because now you look at it's unfortunate, but this is the way things work. Like the basketball gods can be cruel. Jason Tatum tore his Achilles. Damian Lillard tore his Achilles. Tyrese Haliburton tore his Achilles. Donovan Mitchell had the precursor to that injury, but he only played one more game on that sore right calf. So in that respect, if you want to have a silver lining about this bum ending of a season for the Cleveland Cavaliers, that might be it right there. Because now, door is wide open in the Eastern Conference for the Cavs to go do something special next year. Small price to pay. It sucks, but maybe it was actually a good thing. So think about that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys. Bye-bye.